Hi, I'm Jon Myers, the world's gentle genius, and my story has prepared me and journey prepared me uniquely to present the views I do. You can look up my variety of websites that I will present more towards the end, and you'll see why I feel strongly the way I do and what I'm about to say, and also with our coaching, encouraging people. Anyway, what I want to get to right off the bat is the sense that we need to get our collective sanity back. That really, in sincerity, we're seeing a breakdown in a lot of ways of society with, gun violence, mass shootings, and, again, I'll get into later too, but, we don't want to, it's not a gun rights particularly, it's a safety, it's a commonality issue. So, anti-Semitism, which is, people don't really know, most people don't know why they would hate a Jewish person, and hatred can extend to other groups too, which is all hatred. And then just the general tenor of society, how we relate, the divisiveness, the negativity, all these things reflect a deeper challenge for society than we're letting on. And we've got to get our sanity, our societal, it comes down to our very, with all that's, Rob Reiner, our late Rob, rest in peace, all these folks who suffered tragedies in the last week and recently and beyond, that we've got to get our collective sanity back as a society. And the first issue I really want to talk to is the notion of commonality. And when I say commonality, I'm not really talking about unity. Unity may be almost impossible. However, consider the concept of commonality. When we get to a stop line, basically everybody knows that we need to stop, right? That's a common understanding. In basketball games, two teams can compete. In the best sense, they'll say, no, both wins. There's a common result. One wins, one loses. And in the best sense, they would shake hands. So we can have common understandings in society, implying on my part, there is a greater whole. But we need commonality. And a lot of it has to do with, how issues are framed and how people are pushed without their knowing why they're pushed in certain ways. Why they're, guided to divisiveness that they really don't quite understand. Let's take gun violence as an issue. We could definitely draw a hard line between gun advocates and gun control advocates and, 40 or 50 on one side, 40 or 50 on another side, and all this kind of thing. However, if we frame the issue in terms of how many people want random shooters, terrorizing society, presumably we get 90, 95% or more saying we don't want that. In other words, there are common things, there are basic things that we really want as a society. And, they're not unfolding that way because things are forces beyond our control in some ways, or we think are beyond our control, are guiding us towards divisiveness. And that's not something that we need. Another issue which is affecting our collective sanity is the whole matter and issue of opinion. Okay? People think that, I understand and I respect, that desire to belong to something, someone, a group, whatever it be. But an opinion unto itself is not, a noble stance. Some people say that opinion is a very hurtful action unto itself. We can believe in something. And as my work, for instance, around emotional distress, coaching, gentle genius coaching, I've worked on these things over 30 years. Real change takes working on things. It's not a matter of joining one group of tens of thousands or even millions of people, or another group of tens of thousands or even millions of people, and just, virulently expressing that view. All that's doing is creating to not just noise, but hurt, in society. And so I make a big distinction in terms of gentle genius coaching, all my work, between purpose, having a purpose, and having an opinion. Opinion's like a crutch, but, something to lean on. Purpose is something that you stand on your own 2 feet. And that's where our work gets sacred, because we find what's really sacred, what's real, the essence of you, and help you strengthen that, and then take it out into society, assertively and appropriately. Because, everybody wants to be seen, people want to be heard, but, merely expressing opinion is not really doing that. And there's a huge distinction, that we've got to bring people out of these, clouds of, no pun intended, towards, towards to standing on their feet and developing purpose. And when you have purpose, you learn how to do it appropriately and assertively. And again, you can take a look at our website. I have restoringourhumanity.com, theworldsgenius.com, theworldsbestmediator.com. All these are links to my work and how you can get involved in this coaching. A lot of this, this hyper energy and people ranting at one another. When you look underneath it, is really caused by fear and certainly, a desire for success on certain levels. People want to be successful. That's understandable. They want to be part of something. That's important. And as I say, our purpose is really the best I've done 30 years. I don't know everything, but I know. I've done 30 years of experience, research, trial and error on this, and purpose gives you that resilience, that energy to forge your way forward and to, appropriately take a stand that's going to be meaningful in the long run. So, I get the notion of people wanting to belong, of people wanting to have success, people wanting to be recognized. All those things are there. And we have to develop appropriate ways of doing it. It's by generating. That's how we together, we have to realize just throwing out an opinion is not going to really help. It doesn't really make you strong. It may make you look strong in a moment, but it's not real strength. And that's where our work comes in. That's where my general advocacy comes in, to help people, to encourage us to move to better places, because our sanity itself is being challenged. And remember that when we get to a four-way stop sign, everybody's got to get somewhere, but we don't just everybody rush through. Remember that image of the four-way stop sign. Stop. We have to all take a turn and let it, you're not making yourself look better by rushing through, certainly by hitting another car, this kind of thing. Have patience and belief in yourself. And that's, again, where our coaching can really help. Take a look at the websites, because you'll get stronger. And the main thing is we have to collectively, as I say, restore our humanity. We have to get our sanity back. We can't think that, that's when, the internet's done a lot of great things, and it's done things like thinking we just have to express our opinion every way, and so virulently, and rather than developing an internal method for companies, families, and individuals to be truly strong and express it in a way that's going to be meaningful and enduring.